you've got a hold rating on the stock. Did you hear anything yesterday that changed your mind?
No, this was very much as telegraphed. I mean, we've known the units for a while. Obviously, EPS was much worse than what even the lowest estimate of the street was. Nothing gets me more constructive here, but frankly, I'm not more bearish. I just think that the probability of an equity offering or some capital access is much, much higher with the cash position down as much as it was. Yeah,
he alluded to that on the conference call. I guess at one point he said, no, we don't need more capital. But at another point, when he was asked a follow-up, Phil was explaining that he said, well, it might be a good time for an equity raise. What would that mean for current holders of the shares?
So it sort of ends up being, where does the raise get placed? I mean, a lot of people are pointing to the fact that, a third of their $2.2 billion in cash is from deposits. And yesterday, Daimler at ACT Expo was saying the future is electric for trucking. And Daimler and most of the other companies out there taking orders for trucks are actually handing the deposits back. I mean, the truck deposits are at least $100 million of their, $700 million plus in cash they're sitting on from future customers. So, they definitely need a placement. They need some access to capital now, and it's probably in the multi-billion-dollar range.
Tim, what did you think? It seems like every day there's a new torrent of news about Tesla. It's hard to even keep on top of it. But how would you kind of cap things up, things we've heard in the last week?
Well, the big takeaway was these were the warmest comments Elon's had about raising capital in more than a year. And that's been one of the big questions as there's been this slowdown in demand is, was he going to need to raise more capital, right? So we saw on Monday this talk about pivoting the business into robot taxis. And he's got a lot of ambitious ideas for the Model Y and other vehicles going forward. So he's going to need money, or it's just going to be a continual pressure point every quarter looking at that cash balance.
He certainly needs money, Tim, certainly over the long term. I guess that was to be expected. What about operationally, though? I mean, for the longest time, it was, can they get to build these cars at scale? And now the question seems to be a little more on the demand side of things. Do you think operationally, as a manufacturer, Tesla has made enough progress here?
Well, the interesting thing about the way they've been building cars, and it really hurt them in the first quarter, is that they would spend the first half of the quarter building vehicles for overseas and then spend the back half for North America. And what they found is that essentially they were tied up for the entire quarter, and the vehicles were getting to Europe and China late, and those sales were carrying forward into the second quarter, and they got tied up inventory, and it's costing them a lot of money. And so now they're going to try to even that out as they go forward throughout the quarter, so they don't end up with a lot of inventory tied up.
And Craig, I know you've got a hold on the stock, that you're continuing to do that. What would it take to push you one direction or the other?
So the key thing that I'm flagging for investors today is the potential cannibalization of Model S and Model X sales by the Model 3. I think a lot of people are comfortable paying the lower price point and really do want to own a Tesla. They want to drive an electric vehicle. So as we get data points, some of these high-frequency data sets that come out that give us more confidence that there either is or is not cannibalization, and that this seasonality that they pointed to and the other production issues either are or are not credible excuses, I think that ends up having a fairly material impact on the trajectory of the stock, because it'll give us a real indication of what the actual demand is, and it could quite likely be well outside of where the Wall Street consensus is right now.